All right, everyone. Good morning. Miles with Malad here. Um, Here in Houston, Texas. Kind of a little bit of a delay. I do apologize. Thanks everybody for being patient. I know everybody's all about race reports. Me and myself, I'm not the biggest post-race report person to express all my feelings and emotions and all that. Obviously, just like everyone else, we all go through that process. That said, it's coming about, around just tomorrow will be 2 weeks since Ironman 140.6 Coeur d'Alene. But it's never too late to express some post-race thoughts, offer some advice, comments, from my end, from things I saw, experienced, and, where I can get better and improve as well. So that said, I'll try to keep this, short, concise, and kind of to the point. So, I was fortunate on this past Ironman. My family had traveled and flew in from Dallas. Obviously, I'm here in Houston, and flew into Spokane, Washington, and had a car, and it's about a 45-minute drive east of Spokane. So, in that little strip of Idaho up in Coeur d'Alene. Pretty unique, exclusive, kind of a little hidden gem, if you will. So kind of going into the race, had the idea that it would be upwards of in the hundreds, coming upon race day. It was a heat wave kind of coming in just days prior. I guess the average, temperatures right around 75 to 80, usually in this time of the year. But, you always have to be prepared for whatever conditions kind of come and be able to adapt. So that said, I try not to think about things like that. We all have advantages and disadvantages based on kind of where we're from and, how we train. Like, I'm in Houston, it's pretty hot and humid. But on the downside, there's not really any hills or mountains to really be able to train like somebody would in, Colorado or, someplace like that. So with some altitude and elevation. So that said, kind of don't really think about, things like that. I just try to get the mind right, kind of get into the race. It was nice having the family there. So it's a nice little distraction. We all have our little kind of pre-race routine, but I like to kind of really trying to get in the zone, winding down the day too. So, upon race day, I woke up super early. Actually, my brother went out with me, which was cool. Kind of got up 2:45 in the hotel, and then kind of embarked, I think, just before 4. Coeur d'Alene was great. The venue was fantastic. The people were great. Obviously, given the COVID concerns, all the mandates had been lifted. So it was nice to be able to have, the big crowd and whatnot. And I think there was about 2,054, something in that number of how many participants had begun the actual race. And then I believe upon conclusion, there was just over 1,500, 1,520 or something. So that said, there was actually a 27% DNF, did not finish percentage, which is drastically high. I believe an Ironman average is around 5 to 7%. Feel free to drop a comment if I'm wrong there. But yeah, I mean, that just goes to show the difficulty and the challenges that kind of came that day on June 27th for Ironman Coeur d'Alene. So yeah, I mean, it was great to have the fans, the support, from people all over, and it's a really unique kind of event, and being able to meet people from all over. Really, usually people travel obviously on this specific occasion, and domestic, places perhaps not so much, but definitely still a lot of people from all over the world. I met some people. I remember there was a gentleman from Belgium, Australia. So very, very cool, atmosphere and environment, and some fantastic people, and you never know, maybe some lifelong friends. That said, again, so kind of getting started, I was happy I got my bike checked out and got my body warmed up, like I said, the day before. And so upon getting to race day, once I got up there right around 4:15, I think, when transition had opened up, right around then, kind of laid my stuff out, got everything kind of ready to go, and basically just tried to make sure everything was laid out properly and appropriately in my transition. What was great about Coeur d'Alene was it was just one transition, which maybe some people are different, but I loved that. So it was an old school, classic, transitional kind of phase where both T1 and T2, so after the bike and after the swim and after the bike, you're coming to the same place. And of course, when you're finishing, you're coming back to the same place as well. So very cool. I love that. The water was, the fear was a few months ago that the water was going to be too cold. And then just coming up to the race, and I'm sorry, actually, 6 months ago, people were talking about elevation, because I think it was my Garmin said about 6,300 feet of elevation. So that was the biggest concern. And then next up was the water being super cold. And then leading up to the race was how hot it was going to be. So it was kind of just different phases and mindsets and attitudes that people would kind of spurge. There's a Facebook group, for each Ironman that I try to just kind of join. Don't really participate too much in those discussions and some of those threads, but I do, if I do have a question or a concern or something, then it's very cool to be able to ask, and especially with people who've had previous experience with the race, which is always great. So that said, Lake was great. The day 2 days before that Friday, it was cool. The family, we got a boat and we kind of went boating for a couple of hours on Lake Coeur d'Alene and stopped. I got a few minutes of getting some swim warm-ups in, so that was nice. So had a little bit of a feel for the water. I wore a sleeveless wetsuit for the first time. Do not regret that decision at all. I loved it. I actually personally hate long sleeve wetsuits, but gotta do what you gotta do. But or if I don't have to wear one, even better. But I did wear a sleeveless one. I loved it. The water temperature, I think, was maybe 68, 69 degrees at the end, maybe even 67. But it was fantastic. It was 2 loops, so that 2.4 mile swim was 2 loops. The course was perfect. It was great. It was mapped out. Ironman usually does a really good job in terms of organization. So that was great. Getting out of the water, swim time was about a 1:17. I wasn't disappointed. And I was okay because I wanted to save a lot of my legs for the bike. That was kind of where my mind was at, and I knew there would be a lot of hills to kind of ride across, so I was really trying to save my legs for that. So getting out of the water, I think 1:17:05 was my time. I was pleased given the conditions and whatnot, and upon getting in, got to the bike. One of my biggest problems and, some of the key takeaways, I guess, my transition times. I am so slow at transition, so I really need to start speeding that up, maybe coming up with a better contingency plan or something. 8 minutes and 8 minutes, each transition is terrible. Obviously the pros are, under a minute, 2 minutes, I guess 3 minutes max. And so I lose a lot of time there. That said, stayed positive, felt great. I rode a disc on this for this course. So I rode an 808, the depth for my wheel up front, and I rode a disc in the back. Try to see, how much drag would actually be reduced. And for speed, obviously I'm not at that ultra high level just yet. Hopefully will be down the road, but definitely improved my bike quite a bit. Worked really hard the last 6 months since Ironman Cozumel to really feel a lot better. And I did. The first loop, I think I clocked in around 19 and a half miles an hour. So that first 56, And then, boy, it just felt like that heat just surged in on that second loop, 56-mile course loop. And boy, I think I averaged just over 18 miles an hour for the 112-mile bike ride. And I think I got, like I said, about 6,300 feet of elevation recorded. So that said, I'm not disappointed in that as either. I think my time was 6 hours and 11 minutes on the bike. I was shooting for really around under 550. 545 would have been great. But you live and you grow from things, and on the next Ironman, I will have hopefully much better results. Granted, like I said, I mean, now we're coming up on 100 degrees, on that second loop, and that asphalt was just toasty. So I don't know. I heard some people saying there was the thermometer read at 138 degrees at the finish, and it was crazy. So it was hot. It was really, really hot. Definitely some hills to climb. I did do Ironman 70.3 St. George, on May 1st. So that was a little precursor, a little tune-up for this course, and it definitely helped. I thought St. George had a little bit more climbing. I think I had 4,200 feet of elevation on the 56-mile course for St. George. So, but I also clocked almost 20 miles an hour on that one. But again, totally different animal between a half Ironman and a full Ironman. Can't really compare the two. Have to have a different mindset going in, and training plan and all that. So that said, I 18.1 I think miles per hour, 6 hours and 11 minutes, 112 miles on the bike, 6,300 feet of elevation. So again, was not disappointed. Felt good, felt great. I rode the Cervelo P2 bike I have, and it was great. I was happy I didn't have a flat or anything. I got the bike tuned up even in Houston, had new tires put on, actually a new chain, had the cassette checked out, all the components seemed fine, even put carbon brakes on the bike too. So yeah, I felt really good. I was really happy even when I did my little tune-up ride the day before the race. I was feeling really good about my bike, and I was really happy. Even I had to check it out the morning of the race just to make sure everything was fine. Obviously, it was really hot, so I lost a lot of PSI overnight. But no, everything was good. Got off the bike upon getting to transition. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I personally love the run. But attitude is everything. I think, it goes a little unnoticed that sometimes people don't realize, you have to stay positive. And I'm very fortunate, my Tri team, Forever Tribe. There's one thing my coach always said to me that still resonates with me today, and I always remember, is just one foot in front of the other. When things get bad, just keep going. So I love that. And another shout out to my hard loop coach, Callum Neff, running coach. Great words, encouragement, positivity. Great plan I had from both, coaches kind of leading up. And again, I ended up on the run sub 4, so I was pretty pleased with that. I don't know, my Strava had a 353, 354, but I guess on the course I had a 356 and change. So nonetheless, just over about a 9-minute pace per mile for the marathon. And it was hot. I mean, hot. Obviously we all train for different conditions. I did do a lot of long runs, as, posted in the previous videos, but it was brutal. And, there's always a massive difference between a 2 p.m. marathon start and a 7 a.m. marathon start, especially a marathon after a 112-mile bike ride, and before that, obviously, a 2.4 mile swim. So, yeah, I mean, it was tough. That. You got to stay positive. The things I always preach, consistency, positivity, and patience. So 1 mile at a time, kind of the mindset there. I always say the hardest part is that kind of mile 17, 18 to mile 22, 23. That's where it really gets tough, and it's really a mental battle. But again, shout out to everybody on the course, all the volunteers, the supporters. I try to thank them when I'm feeling a little okay at the aid stations. I definitely get a splash of water, maybe put some ice on at each aid station. it was hot, so got to try to keep my electrolyte levels in balance. Did that on the bike as well, and again, the volunteers were fantastic. So nutrition is huge on the bike. I didn't mention, I guess, after about hour 2, every about 30, 45 minutes, I would take some chew blocks. I had a couple gels on the run. I also had 2 gels, I believe I had spaced out over the course of, and I brought my own gels because I use the SIS Sports and Science gels. I kind of like to use my own. Ironman offers the Morton gels, which I'm sure are great, but just what I usually train with and use. So that said, yeah, I mean, the run was fine, just over a 9-minute mile marathon. And my favorite part is coming down that last stretch, that last quarter mile where everyone is there in the chute, and it's such a great feeling. What was great about this race, Mike Riley, the main Ironman guy that just announces you are an Ironman, was present, and they shout your name, and kind of you get that kudos. But the atmosphere on, I think it was Sherman Avenue, was just fantastic. Overall, tough course in the sense, not the most technical, but definitely one of the toughest courses, I'm sure. Like I said, hills, and you're not really having as much of a steep, like I said, like a St. George. So, and very crowded a lot of the times on the field, but enjoyed the hell out of it. It was a great course. The support was great. The atmosphere was surreal. It was awesome, and I don't really like to try to do the same course ever again, but I would highly recommend Ironman 140.6 Coeur d'Alene. I totally enjoyed it. As you can see, I'm wearing my shirt. It was cool as they got the names on the back of these. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was great. I was pleased. My overall time was an 11:41:13, I believe. And I'm in the 30 to 34 age group. Obviously, I'm 30 years old. For those that don't know, now you know. But it's funny, had I been in the 25 to 29 age group, I would have finished 7th. I finished 29th in my age group. Pleased. I think there was 150 some that had started, and I think it ended with 126. So, and I finished 250th overall. Again, I think just over 2,050 had started, and then something like 1520 or something had completed. So finished 250th or 252nd. I kind of changed overall. So pleased, that nonetheless, top 10, 15% of the field. So definitely a lot of improvements, a lot of takeaways. All I can do is just stay positive, keep going, and be prepared for the next one. So like I said, I made the announcement yesterday that I've got the 100-mile run coming up here on August 15th. So training for that, preparing for that. So a lot more running, intensive workouts here in the next few weeks. And then I think my next Ironman will probably be Waco, 70.3, and towards the end of October, before we kind of gear it back into some more marathon running to try to get that Boston Marathon qualifier again. So that said, I appreciate it. Feel free to drop questions, comments. Sorry if the video was too lengthy, and again, apologies on the delay. But yeah, I do have my sights set on another 140.6. I don't want to do it too soon because I don't think you can really show much improvement, especially over such a long endurance course. Practice. I really would like to get my bike time significantly lowered. But overall, I felt great. I recover really well. Felt much better than I did after Cozumel. Obviously, I've been working really hard, training really hard, and I can't complain. That time was pretty good on that day. It was a tough day. So pleased with it. Gonna keep going, keep grinding. I hope you guys are liking this channel. If there's any words of advice or encouragement I could give is I really, as I don't want to be cliche or say something redundant, but anything is really possible. I don't believe, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. I don't believe in nothing somebody wants to achieve can't be done. So just continue to doing you, fight the good fight, be kind, be great, do something positive, and believe in yourself. That said, 100 miles, August 15th, I'm coming. Ironman 140.6. Appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed the post-race report. Like, subscribe, follow. Drop a comment. Thanks, guys. Much love. Take care.